Welcome back, Dominators. Domination tips, reporting back for duty. My former videos or my tutorial guide about base layouts was quite obviously the most liked, most important and most viewed video I have done so far, with nearly 1200 or 1300 views, very many thumbs up and very many frequently asked questions about. So I decided for myself to do a specifically new project in which I will not do one video about all base layouts, but more than doing one video about every age to get specifically into the detail of every age space and to talk with you and show all advantages and all thinkings and opinions which are behind placing the buildings in the direction which they are now. So we will start with the Gunpowder Age layout. Going into in the next video, I will upload in a few weeks, I think, to the Enlightenment Age base layout, and after that to the Industrial Age. Background is that the base layouts are quite in use by our alliance, and all of our alliance members are consequently or were consequently upgrading and improving to perfection the base layouts I showed to you. So during the last months which passed after releasing my last base layout video, the layouts have quite changed and they got improved nearly to the maximum. So now I can show nearly the final or the best way of the layout to you. And let us start with the Gunpowder Age layout. We will change to my gallery, and here you see the most favorite and most common design we ended up building in the Gunpowder Age. This example is an example of a maximum Gunpowder Age player. So all buildings are maxed up. Very many researches are done. For example, 115 walls are available, but this layout is also really nice available, or really nice to build with only 110 walls, which is ordinary for the Gunpowder Age, without the 5 additional walls you can research in the 5th chapter of the walls. And first, let us talk about the defensive buildings. The defensive buildings are their locations are in a specific. There is a specific order, and to explain this specific order, I made a graphic for you, and this graphic has very many details. So guys, don't hesitate. Don't say, okay, there are too many informations. Just be cool and let me guide you through this graphic, and just only hear to what I'm saying to you. So the graphic will really easily explain to yourself and to everyone. Here we see the graphic. It looks very without any order and very confusing, I think. But we'll start first and really easily with our main weapons. And the main weapons, in my opinion, are definitely the mortars you have, because of their high ranged. By the way, it's the highest range in the complete game. There are no defensive shooting buildings which have a higher range than the mortars. Therefore, the location and the placement of the mortars is really important to your base design, because you can just put them right into the center of your base to get the most effectivity or the most efficiency of these buildings. On the other side, these buildings, the mortars, are quite vulnerable, because they are only very effective over their full range, against enemy troops which are spawning in a highly mass without very many hit points. If you have a little amount of enemy troops which have high hit points, such as cavalry and tanks, mortars are completely useless and often get completely destroyed before they can deal nearly any damage. So the main focus in this base layout is to put the mortars right inside of the base. so that they can have the full range of shooting. Yes, and you can see the placing right into the base makes the mortar range completely reach over the whole base. Even the defensive buildings and the garrison stables, all defender producing buildings at the right side, the towers and the trade good storage house, at the left side are completely protected by the range of the mortars, and that's quite nice. There is another additional nice fact. Like you can probably see, the range of the mortars is just crossing, or they have a shared range. So you can see the lowest mortar on the lowest position is just able to protect the second mortar right in the center, in the middle of all mortars with, and nearly the third mortar even too. He can shoot into all three compartments of the base. The mortar in the center, or the middlemost mortar, is able to protect both other mortars within its range, and can nearly shoot all over the base. You can see nearly from completely above to the top of the base he can shoot, and with the top mortar it's exactly the same like with the lowest mortar. Now talking about some weak points, and weak points are every building has a weak point. The weak point of the mortars I have already explained is the mortars are very, very effective if there are many troops with very little hit points. Right, the other way around, there are some cannon towers, and the cannon towers are, like I told you, they are completely opposite to this. They are very, very effective if you have very little amount of troops with very high hit points, such as cavalry. Because if they are getting to the cannon tower, the cannon tower is able to fire only every 3 or 4 seconds, and only with one single target. So it cannot aim or target for more aims, yes, and it deals a very, very high damage, but only to one unit. Therefore, the cannon towers are completely useless and ridiculous if there are more enemies spawning, such as infantrymen or marksmen, because they are just easily overwhelming these buildings. Therefore, it's really important to place the cannon towers right into the location so that they are close to the mortars, because they are compensating the weakness of the other building. The mortars are carrying for infantry guys, which are coming right into the range you see over here. The red range is the one of the mortars, and the mortars are just carrying for very heavy cavalry or tanks even, which are coming into the blue range, which is in the graphic. It's the range of the cannon towers. So both cannon towers are protecting the middle and the top mortar, right from the left and from the right side. So completely, they are completely defended, and the top 2 mortars are defending or protecting the both cannon towers. The lowest cannon tower is not being protected by the lowest mortar is not being protected by the cannon towers, but there are 2 redoubts staying next to it, and even the castle right below. Wait, I have done a list to see which points I want to go with you through to explain the base. Next is the protection of the mortar. The protection of the mortar is mostly done by the distance the mortars have to the outer side of the wall. Like you can see at the top, there is a space of 1, 2, 3, 4, and to the right side exactly the same. So there is a space of right 4 places or spaces from the outer side of the wall. If troops are attacking from right over here, only British marksmen or even cannons and artilleries are able to fire from here right onto the mortar. That's the main focus. And there are some spaces or some places right at the left and at the right side which are really attractive to the enemy, and they shall be attractive. That's what we want to do with this base layout, because we could also take this ankle over here and put it to the outer side to place one more building right inside, where now where now the ankle is, and doing this also at the right side. So nobody would be able to attack these mortars right from the outer side. But we want to have this because the enemy cannot see that here are some traps, and if he is getting to attack at the mortars, all of his troops will run right into the traps, and the caltrop traps makes that they are getting slowed down by 40% and that their damage is getting decreased. So if the troops are just into this space, their damage is nearly cut into the half, and their attack speed is also cut down nearly by the half. So they are dealing only very, very little damage to the mortar. And when they are just here into this space, the cannon towers are able to fire on them, the tower is able to fire on them, and even the other mortars are able to fire. That's the main aim, to protect the mortars. To place the mortars right so into the base that the enemy troops are only able to attack them from these points which you want them to attack. Like there are at every mortar there are some spaces from the left and the right side. Only here there is no space. We closed it with some walls, because there are not enough traps in the Gunpowder Age to protect it from this side. Only the middle mortar and the top mortar have these attractive points from the side where the enemy can attack. Next point I want to go through with you are the redoubts. The redoubts are quite working together with the traps in the middle section of the base, in the center section. When the enemy is attacking from the left or the right side, the cavalry, we saw and analyzed from our defensive logs that they are mostly attacking these parts of the wall to get right through into the base. And if they are entering this space right over here, I did not mark it, because if I also would have marked the range of the redoubts, there would be too many colors in this graphic, and the information would not be understandable. Therefore, just imagine here is the range of the redoubt, and if some cavalry or close combat fighters are entering this range, they will activate the redoubt, and the redoubt will fire and kill every unit, especially every distance fighter unit, which is just right into the range. That's the case why the redoubts are staying here at the outer side and protect the lowest and the center mortar. Next, we want to talk with you about, or I want to talk with you about, are the world wonders and their effects, and the range of their effects. Let's start with the Versailles. The Versailles is working as a really big caltrop traps, like these traps over here, but the Versailles is not decreasing the enemy damage, it is only slowing down the enemy in the exact same amount like a caltrop trap. And so every enemy which is passing the range of the Versailles, which is marked with the yellow yellow color you see over here, is getting really slowed down. So when the enemy is focusing on this mortar and attacking this mortar, the troops are getting really slowed down, and the center mortar and the top mortar are able to fire the complete time at the troops when they are moving very slowly over here, right to the position where they can fire on the mortar. That's the main aim for the Versailles, to slow down the troops from the left side. One more notice for you. In my German video I already did about this base, I recognized that the caltrop traps over here are not placed in the best position. Therefore we changed it, and this trap over here has just changed the position with the caltrops, because over here there is just a slowing down effect completely because of the Versailles. Down here there's no slowing down effect. So we took the caltrops and put them right over here, and this trap right over here. That's way better. Next I want to talk with you about is the Acropolis. The Acropolis, which is probably unknown by many users, are something to say about the Versailles. The Versailles, I don't know if you know it, but if the Versailles is getting destroyed, the complete effect of slowing down enemy troops is still active. You cannot deactivate the effect of the Versailles. Always, when you place it in the right place, the complete attack During the complete attack, the Versailles will slow down troops, no matter whether Versailles was destroyed or not. Just remember that. And the next thing I want to talk about is the Acropolis. And I don't know whether you know this, I also only recognized this fact only some weeks ago, but the Acropolis has exactly the same like the Versailles. The effect is just active even when it got destroyed. So no matter whether the Acropolis is just staying there or whether it got destroyed, all of the marked defender buildings right here on the red side are having the positive advantage of the Acropolis all the time during the attacks. So you can see in the Gunpowder Age, you have only about 1, 2, 3, 4. You only about 4 garrisons, 3 stables, and probably 1 Colosseum if you have built this kind of world wonder. And you can see right in this base layout, except for 1 garrison right on the top, all other defender spawning buildings. Even the command post. So definitely all other buildings which are spawning defenders are right into the reach or the range of the Acropolis. That means the positive effect of the Acropolis is just working for all of these defenders. That's just completely amazing. Later, guys, I have a video for you where you can see that an enemy which is attacking this base is gunpowder, like we talked about. The enemy is attacking with completely maxed Enlightenment Age troops. So with cuirassiers, with some cannons, with Enlightenment Age healing cards, and he is not able to get through these defender spawning buildings because there are so many, increased strong defenders that he is not able to touch one of these defending buildings. All of his troops get wiped out before. The Acropolis is getting you, I think, plus 15% health points to all defenders which producing buildings are just in the range. So all of these buildings which are marked over here are within the range and so affected of the Acropolis. And so all of these buildings will definitely, during the time of effectiveness, when they got not destroyed, they will all the time over the attack spawn enemies 20% faster and enemies, or not enemies, they will spawn defenders which are 20% faster spawned and with plus 15% health. That's a really big increase because after just only a short time there will be such many defenders on the map. It looks like some ants. It looks like ants which are just running over the map, and there are so many of them. We'll see it later in the video. The next world wonder is the Colosseum. The Colosseum has no specific effect depending on the location. So the location does not matter, but it is a defender spawning building, so we decided to place it right. It's only a little, very little, but it is in the range and it is affected of the Acropolis. And the biggest building and the biggest effect in this base is by the Acropolis because it reaches nearly all defender spawning buildings again. Except for this, all buildings are reached. Next point we want to talk with you about is the resources. It's a resource base, like you can probably see, and we are only talking about resource bases. My guide or my tutorial about metal protecting bases, which are equally to World War bases, because there it's also important to avoid getting 5-starred by the quick victory. So we will talk later on base designs which protect the town center. For the first time, I will go through all ages and explain all base layouts to you again, which are protecting your resources as main focus. Now we are talking about whether the resources are well protected, and there are two aspects which are important to protect all of your resources or to make them unattainable for enemies. The first aspect is whether their location is just spread out. So whether you have all of the resources in different chambers or compartments of your base. That means, are all of your resource buildings within one wall layer, and if you break one wall layer, you can just easily reach all of them. That's really bad, because you are just placing 2 or 3 wall sappers right at the outer side, attack them on the wall, and then send all of your raiders inside, and they will do all of the rest. Therefore, it's really important to separate all of your resource buildings by walls. And the best opportunity to do this, or the best way to do this, is to not do the same resource buildings in the same compartment. You see down in the lowest section, one time food storage building and gold, food and commando posten, gold and food, and even a second gold building. So in the top building, in the top section, here are 2 gold buildings. That's not very good. But we have no other chance, because otherwise the gold building would stay outside, and that's even worse. So now when an enemy cracks this wall, he's only getting access to 2 gold storage buildings and 1 food storage building. The most of the food is just staying down here, even the command post with the World War loot and one market. So that's the first aspect. The second aspect is that the buildings are not reachable. Even if you have placed all of your food buildings, let's say 1 food building over here, 1 over here, and the second would change with the command post right over here. So all of your food storage buildings would stay at the right side of your base, all at the right side. If the enemy would attack from this right side and would be aiming or focusing on your food, because he probably wants to upgrade some new units or to research new units he got in the new age, therefore he is not focusing on gold. Let's say he's not focusing on gold, he's only focusing on the food. And if the food would be placed at one side of the base, at the right probably, and if he would have killed or destroyed all of these buildings, he had complete access to all food storage buildings right to when he shoots with his distance fighters over the wall. Therefore it's important to spread them out within your base. 1 food building is at the left side, 2 are at the right side, gold buildings are at the left and at the top side. So if you want to have the gold, you completely have to destroy the base, or to work around the base, and that's really hard, because you will lose definitely very many troops. So we can sum up in total that the resource buildings are protected very well, because they are in different compartments or chambers of the base, and they are spread out that much that you cannot easily take them from one specific side of the base. The next point I want to mention is that was all points. Okay, we are done so far, but now guys, I will show you 2 very effective defensive logs from this base. The first defensive log is just showing the effectiveness of all 3 mortars, because most of the guys we have recognized from analyzing our defensive logs that nearly no one is attacking from the top side or from the downside. We don't know why, probably because the general is really scaring to the people, but all of the guys are attacking from the left or from the right side, and that's really bad for them. Really good for us, which we have the base layout, because in this case all 3 mortars will be able to fire simultaneously and deal very multiple damage on the enemy troops. You will see with the enemy is attacking with very many marksmen, and even deploying his Korean army special event troops. So he has nearly about 200 troops, and they are all running right about around here, and the mortars will fire simultaneously and completely kill them. The second video will be about the Acropolis, and you will see the Enlightenment Age guy, which is attacking our gunpowder base right from the right side. And then you will see like all of the ants troops. The defending troops are spawning like ants, very multiple amounts of them, and they will completely overwhelm the enemy. Even the stronger enemy troops overwhelm them, and the time is running out, and the enemy is completely dying because he has no any more reinforcements. Sorry. So guys, let's go into the video. Here we are. Like I told you, the enemy is right attacking from the left side, using all of his troops. Here are some donated troops, mercenaries, and 2 event armies, or more than, I'm not quite sure. There are some cavalry. When are the event armies coming? I'm quite sure there are some event armies. There are some range troops, and there are some event troops. So very many many marksmen, range troops. And now you can see all the mortars are just firing completely simultaneously, dealing multiple damage. The enemy troops are running right into the traps, like we wanted them to do. And now the most of the range troops are getting wiped out. That's the best function, or the best video to show you the function of the mortars. And here we are in the second video. You can just easily see here an Enlightenment Age player, level 109, is attacking. You see some cannons over here, some mortar troops, Korean Enlightenment Age marksmen, and some cuirassiers. All of them are Enlightenment Age troops, so the enemy has a really big disadvantage about our base. Now you can see we have some blessings active, but the blessings are only for our shooting defensive buildings. Like you can see, all of these shooting defensive buildings have more health and they have more damage. But all of the blessings, no one of the blessing is just affecting our troop spawning buildings. They are only affected by the good placement of the Acropolis. Please remember, or please recognize that 2 of our garrisons are still being upgraded. So these both garrisons are not producing any defenders. Otherwise, there would be even more defenders than there are now in the video. So we can see right now in the video that the troops which are getting attacked are completely overwhelmed by the enemy, by our troops. Now our buildings are getting starting to produce our troops. Here is a bombard in the town center, but it's getting killed now, and there is no effect of the bombard. It's dead now. Here you see very many cavalry, which is just overwhelming the enemies, the stronger enemy Enlightenment Age cavalry, even some infantry guys, more infantry guys, and the next wave is already spawning. The next wave is spawning because of the Acropolis. The Acropolis, remember, decreases the spawn time of all defender-producing buildings and makes them stronger by giving them a health point boost of 15%. So all of our troops here, our defender troops, have plus 15% health and are way more durable. Now the enemy troops are getting overwhelmed. The cannons are dying, the marksmen are dying. Here on top, another cannon is dying, the healing cards are getting killed, and now the complete attack has failed. No one of the defensive buildings or of our layout has been attacked, and the enemy got no resource. He just killed some caravan gold bunches over here, and no one of the serious storage buildings. Guys, we are finished about our base layout video. Now, I hope the description or the explanation of the base layout and the explanation why the defensive buildings and the walls are placed in the way like they was helping and was quite understandable for you. I hope you saw our intention behind placing the complete base layout like it is currently, and you can just easily copy it, make a screenshot, and form your own base like after this. Probably can place some buildings in a slightly other position and even increase our layout, which is quite strong, I think. Give me some comments, give me some feedbacks how you think about the video, whether it was quite helpful for you or not. I'm open for all comments or questions about the base layouts. We'll see us soon, guys, with the Enlightenment Age bases or in the World War. Have a good time. Your Domination Tips.